Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is McKay Duran. I am the lead student ambassador here with Clovis Community College. And today we have a special guest for this interview in recognition and celebration of National Librarian Day, today, April 16th. So we have one of our librarians, Brooke Ramos, who will be giving her time today to share with us a lot of what her and the library does in order to best serve our students and how they can help you moving forward. So I want to pass it over to our librarian. Feel free to introduce yourself. We want to get to know you. And I'm curious, how long have you been with Clovis Community?
So you're right, I am Brooke Ramos. I'm one of the full-time librarians here at Clovis. I've been with Clovis for 5 years, and those 5 years completely as a librarian. Before that, I did work in State Center Community College District, first at Madera Center as a library technician, and then at Fresno City College before I came over to Clovis.
That's great. Well, thank you again for doing this. I know myself and our team and all of our students greatly appreciate this. So I'm curious to jump right in. I'm wondering what you studied in college and how has that kind of guided you into a career being a librarian?
So I double majored in history and political science at UCLA, and I think it's probably more UCLA that made the difference for me. UCLA and all the UCs are actually pretty geared toward research. So you could pick any major there and you're stuck writing papers all the time. So I spent a lot of time in libraries and doing a lot of research papers. And it was actually my final class at UCLA where it was a seminar with a doctoral student. And we were chatting one day, and I think I'd asked to meet her on a different day to talk about the class. And we had this big paper we were writing. And she told me that she couldn't because she actually was only in LA one day a week. She would fly off for the rest of the week to New York to work in the Holocaust archives. She was doing research for herself and her advisor. And I went home thinking, that sounds so cool, like to be around history like that every day. That just sounds so interesting. So I started looking into what it would take to work in an archive. And I saw it was very adjacent to the library world. In fact, the master's degree I got, I could have taken a different track and still gotten a master's of library science with a specialization in archives. But I saw that being in the library world and going into librarianship, I could do the kind of research I actually really did enjoy doing. And it feeds my curiosity. And ultimately, that's why I decided to go into librarianship.
That's amazing, and especially to have that special story and personal experience tied to that. That's amazing. I love that. Okay, well, I'm curious, what's the biggest way that the library here at Clovis Community has been helping students through online learning?
So the biggest way we've been helping, it's really about being flexible. And, one of the kind of core ideals of librarianship is meeting your community where they're at. In that case, that's our students. And so one of the things we very quickly saw was not just that students were online, but the situation had really changed where there was much less synchronicity with our students because of the nature of changing jobs, having students or their kids at home and kind of being a homeschool, providing homeschool for those kids. And so that really changed some of how we do our work. We already had a lot of our services online because we do have a pretty significant distance education program outside of COVID and just being forced to do all distance ed with COVID. But so we actually, right before we closed for COVID, we finished up a big batch of Canvas modules, which they are just short Canvas modules that cover different topics like beginning research, avoiding plagiarism, searching the academic databases, and students can take them and take a quiz at the end and they get a badge. And a lot of instructors have started to use those so that students can turn in those badges and get credit for that. So that's one of the things we've done. We also offer research guides, which highlight library resources, the best library resources for a topic or for an assignment. And sometimes, and actually more frequently since we've been closed, we've worked with instructors to create those specifically around assignments and classes. So those are some of the more asynchronous services that we've really expanded while we've been closed, but we also have those in-person services. You can't just organically drop into the library anymore and ask questions, which is how we would get a lot of our foot traffic. So we actually have a chat box. It's Ask Librarian 24/7. It is on our website. And our librarians are on that chat during library hours, and it's 11 o'clock right now, so Raina Yang is in the chat, and you can talk live to a Clovis librarian during our library hours. But if, we talked about those circumstances where, maybe students can't do things at what used to be considered a normal school time, you can still drop into that chat and talk to a librarian. And the librarians can help you with doing research, narrowing down a topic, citation, any of the things that librarians do. And those librarians who aren't us still have access to all of our resources. We still offer Book Librarian, which is online through Zoom, which is similar to the chat, except you fill out a questionnaire and you'll meet one-on-one with us. And it's really important to give us as much information as possible because we prepare a research plan to go over with you to help you be a more confident researcher. So that's just, I know I've forgotten things, but that's just some of what we offer, to our students. And we're always available to you through email and phone, which is that information's on our website.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that. I know hopefully all the students that have taken advantage of that know how valuable that is. And yeah, looks like I have some time today to make one of those appointments. So I'm curious, are there any resources that you really like that maybe you did mention? We went down a great list of ones that we do. Any that you maybe want to mention in addition to that?
In terms of our resources, we're not just about, I know libraries are pretty synonymous with books, but I think in an academic library too, you hear a lot about academic journals and databases, but it's also really important in all libraries, especially academic libraries, to ensure that there is an outlet outside of school. We all need it now more than ever. So we do have some resources that, yeah, they can be utilized for classes, but we also offer a lot of fun things in those resources too. And that would be things like Films on Demand, which is a video database, mostly educational and documentary videos. If you like to watch documentaries for entertainment, I do. Films on Demand is great. And there's a lot of documentaries there from really popular production companies, things from PBS and HBO and BBC. You could pretty much watch everything from Ken Burns in there, with the exception of his latest work. We have things like Flipster. So Flipster is for digital magazines, and I actually have the app downloaded to my iPad, and it allows me to just kind of flip through it like a magazine. And we have magazines like Time and The Atlantic, which, I think a lot of students use for their classes. But then we also have things like People and National Geographic and Runner's World, which, are meant to be a little bit more fun. I think you can still learn and get something out of it, but it's a great way to unwind from school. And then finally, we have Overdrive, which, you can find a lot of books for English classes in there. We do try to carry what the English classes are teaching, but then we also try to encourage learning for fun, reading for fun. And so we have a lot of books there that are, just popular books that you can download and read or listen to. So particularly in this time, reading is a great way to escape what's going on in the world.
Definitely. Thank you for that. Because I think, again, like you mentioned, that school life balance and having those forms of media and entertainment, especially from our very own library online safely, that's awesome. Thank you. And so I'm curious to kind of wrap this up, since we've talked a lot about what's available and what the library does. Is there anything that you would say is the most underutilized resource that you offer? Maybe something that you would want students to know about that maybe they don't take advantage of right now?
Yeah. I think our most underutilized resource is our librarians, believe it or not, because there is this hesitation, I think, in our culture to ask questions and get help. And we don't just see it at the library, we see it and we talk about it amongst all of the services we offer on campus, from financial aid to admissions and records, counseling, tutorial center. There's just this hesitation to ask questions, and the idea that you need to do it on your own, which is just not the case. And that's certainly not what we're here for. We're not just a repository for books. We offer help. And so, take advantage of the librarians and our expertise. We all have many years of experience doing research. We can save you time. Like, I can't stress that enough. Research is something that you learn over time, you improve over time. And it does help to get that instruction, but also sometimes to have a second person to bounce ideas off of. And amongst all of us, like I said, I majored in history and political science. With all of our librarians, we have different areas of expertise. And we also work with instructors and know assignments, and we help students enough that we may have ideas or understand what the instructor is asking for in a way that's maybe different than what the student thought. So definitely take advantage of asking us questions. That is what we're here for. When we were back in person, it used to break my heart when a student would approach me and say, "I'm sorry for bothering you." And I think to myself, I'm not sitting here at the front desk to just be an ornament. Like, I'm here to help. And everything that I'm doing, like, obviously I'm working up there. I'm not just sitting, twiddling my fingers and waiting, but everything we do is to ensure that students have a place to come for help. And the work we do is to ensure that students have the resources they need and that we're providing the best service that we can to them. So I just want to give a shout out to all of our librarians and say that we're all here. So Alicia Diaz-Rest is our other full-time librarian. Our adjuncts during the week, we have Raina Yang and Sue Weber. And our adjuncts that support us on Saturdays are Pat Pondexter, Kristen Bear, and Cynthia McDonald. Come to us. We will answer your questions.
Thank you so much for sharing that, and to hear about the whole entire library team that's dedicated to helping students here at Clovis Community, virtual for now, but definitely dedicated each and every day, even on weekends. I don't know of any other office that's open on the weekends, so I love that. That's awesome. And I want to thank you again for taking your time today for this interview, and again, being present for students. And I encourage anyone and everyone watching to share this video, and more importantly, share the resources the library has to offer. You can see how eager they are to help you. And once again, thank you for watching, and everyone, happy National Librarian Day. Have a great one.